Hi, this is Tim Perry. I'm the managing editor of Multichannel Merchant. I'm with Jordy Leiser, the co-founder and CEO of Stellar Service, and we are at Shop.org 2015 in Philadelphia. Jordy, how you doing?
Great.
Good.
Great.
How's the show been for you so far?
It's been good. It's busy as always. It's been a great show. Philadelphia, easier to get to than Seattle for New Yorkers.
Much easier to get to than Seattle for Connecticut people too. So,
Yeah.
all right. So anyway, one of the big themes, obviously, in the past couple of years has been buy online, pick up in store, and it's really growing in popularity for retailers. But as we know, it's not always as seamless as it should be. Where do you see the buy online, pick up in store seems to be falling apart?
There's a few places. The first is around communication. So how well does the company articulate to the customer when the item is available, where they should be going once they get into the store? Every store might be a little bit different, and so to be able to provide good communication around that is a big challenge sometimes. Another area is once they're in the store, does the customer have to search through 5 different places, 5 different departments, or is it obvious where they're supposed to go? And then once they get to the place where they need to go to pick up the item, does the company have it set up in terms of processes and operations to make that a seamless experience? And so that is a challenge because a lot of times these particular stores are not set up or designed from the very beginning to be able to do this. So that's a big challenge.
When we hear about these issues a lot, it winds up being like a bigger box store or a department store or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
These same kind of issues lie within like the smaller footprint stores, like let's say a 5,000 square foot, like an A&F, an Abercrombie and Fitch or something like that.
It is it's a little more difficult for those types of businesses just because the footprint, as you said, may not be as big or accommodating. The bigger stores have more room to work in terms of making the signage better and easier. So in general, depends if it's a mall location or if it's a standalone store. But the big box retailers do have an advantage when it comes to being able to create that space.
I'm quick to say these people are doing bad, these people are doing bad, but let's talk about who's doing well. Who do you see as doing a very good job with buy online, pick up in store, with the experience?
Yeah, sure. Well, the data that Stellar Service has collected has suggested that some of the big box retailers like Lowe's and Best Buy, Nordstrom, have done a really good job. And I think in some of those cases where they're bigger items, like for Best Buy and for Lowe's, it's obviously a core competency for them to make that an easy experience for the customer to go in. If there's a huge item that weighs 65 pounds, they don't want the customer to have to be inconvenienced. And so those are some names that have done a really good job so far.
What about some of the best practices? Like what should these retailers be doing to make sure that the experience is fluid across all channels?
Yeah. I would think about it in 2 buckets. The first is communication, and the second is speed. So in terms of communication, they just need to be as articulate and as thoughtful as they can in terms of how the customer should be communicated. Is it right away when the item is available, or are they going to give the customer an advanced warning? The product will be available in an hour. Just constant communication with the customer so that the worst doesn't happen, which is the customer shows up and they're not ready, or it's a terrible experience basically. And then second is in speed. It's the faster the better. So the whole point of buy online, pick up in store is that you're supposed to be able to do this in a super quick and convenient way. And so if the typical customer has a 3-minute checkout experience when they're just buying something regularly in the store, that needs to be a significantly faster experience when they're picking something up.
One thing I've noticed when I've heard from some of the things I've read on your blog, and also from some of the things I've seen going out there in just as a shopper, it seems like you go to certain stores, and even though the shopper's looking for the convenience of buy online, pick up in store, suddenly they want to upsell you on something. And how is that a detractor, or is it just me who doesn't want to have doesn't want to be upsold something because I bought something online?
Yeah, it depends. It totally depends on the brand. It depends on what you're buying. I think if you're buying something that has a natural complementary item, I think it should be protocol for the company to try to generate extra revenue if it seems like a suggested sale that makes sense. If it's blatant and you're buying like a TV and they're trying to sell you a sweater, that's just not going to be amenable for the customer. So I think it has to be on brand, it has to be on message. But eventually that driving people into the store, big brands want to do that because it offers an opportunity to be able to sell more.
But of course, there's got to be something that, like you said, it's got to be something that makes makes sense for the purchase.
It's like any marketing, the right message with the right product at the right time. I think people should view this, and brands should view this as the same sort of opportunity.
You have a study coming out soon on online, return in store. From what I understand, it's a lot of the issues are very similar to buy online, pickup in store. But what's making buy online, return in store as difficult as it could be?
It's a lot of the same issues. I think the biggest thing that we've seen in our data is that most companies who are offering this, or at least half of them, aren't even consistently communicating to the customer that this is an option. And so if they have this as an option, they should articulate that in the packaging as a part of the process so the customer can go in and actually return in the store. The same things apply when you're going into the store. Where do I go to return it? Do I go to the main counter? Do I go to a side counter? The signage, making that a seamless process. And then when you actually are going through the process of returning the item, does the person that you're working with to exchange the item or return the item actually know what they're talking about? Can they process the return? Do they have to call a manager over to figure out how to process a return? Are they trained appropriately? And also, if there was an issue with it or you wanted something differently, how do they go about that experience? And do they try to force a new product on you, or do they, in the same sort of marketing friendly way, say, was this not right for a certain reason? Can we get you a different one? And it's amazing that it's something like more than 80% of companies don't do that. They don't try to investigate what happened, why was there an issue, can we offer you something else? And that just seems like they're just leaving money on the table, and they're not trying to save the sale.
Holiday season is just about here. What do you see right now as the most important thing that retailers can do, especially omnichannel retailers can do right now to make sure they're ready?
Well, so in our world, in terms of service and the experience, I think there's a couple things. One is in terms of customer service, they need to be prepared for the right volume, and they need to be prepared for the right kind of issues that they're going to be dealing with. So looking at prior years, looking at their peers and competitors, kind of scale that they should expect. If they keep customers waiting, it's too easy to just go to the next player. So when price is basically equal, people are really quick to just go to the next competitor because they know it's price matching. So on the service side, I'd say training your people so that they're handling issues, so people don't have to call back twice or email you twice. That's just going to extend the queue. And then on the shipping and the return side, the communication around when the last date you can order something to guarantee delivery by Christmas just keeps getting further and further out. And so in 2013, it was about, from our data, there's about 17% of companies would allow you to order up until the 19th of December for guaranteed delivery by Christmas. Last year, that number was about half the retailers would allow you to do that. And so this year, it feels like even the trend is moving in the direction where they're going to allow customers to wait to the last second. So you better be prepared as a retailer to deliver on that promise.
Will that be this year's kind of surprise? Last year's big surprise was mobile was even bigger than anybody projected. The year before was that whole last minute shopping. Will this be kind of a repeat this year of 2 years ago, or are you seeing better communication between the carriers and the shippers?
We'll see. I think that there's always tension between the carriers, the shippers, and the retailers when it comes to the holiday, especially if weather is an issue. It's easy to toss around blame to both sides, but communication is the key. And I think when there's not good communication with the customers as a brand, you lose credibility, blame gets thrown around everywhere. And so as long as the customers are being communicated with constantly, whether it's buy online and pick up in store, return in store, or it's the last date to purchase, or there's other promotions or other things, I think it's about communication.